Welcome to your daily dose of sci-fi adventures. New stories dropped every single day. Smash that subscribe button and ring the to help us reach 1,000 subscribers and unlock even more epic cosmic tales. Captain Elena Marlowe's vision swam as alarms shrieked around her. The Artemis groaned like a wounded beast, its hull stress fractures spreading spiderweb cracks across reinforced alloy plating. She clung to her pilot's chair as neon red warning lights danced across the console. A high-pitched whine signaled the complete failure of the inertial dampeners. They would feel every tremor of the planet's chaotic atmosphere now. Vespera's sky was a roiling canvas of ochre and burnt sienna, streaked with white-hot electrical discharges as dust-charged storms raged above. The planet's magnetosphere, known to interfere with standard navigation arrays, had been lingeringly unpredictable. But with the Artemis caught in a sudden ion surge, the ship lost guidance completely. Instruments flickered in protest. The last coherent data showed surface winds howling at over 800 kilometers per hour. Brace for impact, Elena's own alarm blared in her earpiece. She bent her head and sealed her helmet as the vessel's trajectory pitched downward. The horizon tilted at a grotesque angle while the ground rushed up. For a moment, time seemed to stretch, the last glimpse of the cockpit canopy warping under the strain. The feel of her hands gripping scorched control sticks. The shockwave of planetary gravity pulling her toward the red-hued sands dot with a violent jolt. Artemis slammed into the surface. Metal buckled, engines exploded into flame. Then, as abrupt as it began, movement ceased. A heavy silence claimed the world. Smoke billowed from fissures in the hull, and sparks drifted like embers in an otherworldly night. Elena pried herself loose from her harness, every muscle screaming. She swallowed a painful breath. Rasping with dust, through the haze she saw that half the cockpit had collapsed inward. Wires and circuitry dangled like vines in a mechanical jungle. Outside, the ship's hull lay torn open, one landing strut twisted into an impossible angle. She forced herself upright, ignoring the sharp sting in her right shoulder. The interior speakers crackled with static, but there was no sign of her co-pilot or the 3 crew members assigned to this survey mission. The aft cabin doors hung ajar. Remnants of cargo crates scattered like lost memories. "Crew status?" she called, voice echoing hollowly in the empty ship. No reply. Elena switched her suit's external comms to planetary skin mode. The readouts came in fragmented high radiation, acidic sands, trace levels of breathable oxygen. Life signs, only one, and it wasn't her own. She limped toward the hatch and forced it open. A hot gust of abrasive wind shoved her back. She shielded her eyes against red-tinged particulates. Her helmet's HUD painted the landscape in ghostly outlines, vast dunes of garnet sand, stretching to a horizon ringed by jagged rock spires. Towering storms clashed overhead, their lower edges glowing with static discharges. Despite the danger, Elena stepped out, boots sinking slightly into the fine-grained soil. Every step crackled with displaced dust. She activated her hand lamp, its beam cutting a pale swath through the swirling haze. Her first priority, locate any survivors, then salvage any remaining ship systems to call for rescue. Scanning the dunes, she spotted something unexpected, a silhouette against the storm's orange glow. A tall, slender figure standing motionless atop a sand ridge. It was humanoid in shape, but far too tall and impossibly lithe. Its skin, where visible between layered robes, emitted a soft bioluminescence, a subtle ripple of blue-white patterns that pulsed like living runes. Elena's heart lurched. Alien. She'd read reports of microbial life in Vespera's caves, but nothing with high-level sentience documented. Protocol demanded caution. She crouched behind a damaged fuselage panel, finger poised on her sidearm. The figure tilted its head. In the broken light, Elena saw its eyes large, almond-shaped, pools of indigo that held no immediate hostility. It raised a single slender hand in a gesture unmistakably peaceful. Then a voice, not spoken aloud but resonating directly in her mind. "I am Kale. You are wounded. Let me help." Elena froze, pulse hammering in her ears. Telepathy she had prepared for first contact. Scenarios, but nothing felt as surreal as hearing words without sound. Every instinct battled within her, fear of the unknown. The the rigid training to keep command protocol above all, and the iron resolve to survive. She allowed the stranger to approach, slowly. Its gait was fluid, almost gliding over the sand. As it came closer, Elena saw that its suit was woven from a metallic fiber mesh, adaptive to the acid-laden environment. Integrated into the fabric were tiny vortex generators that seemed designed to cancel out the abrasive winds. Kale knelt beside her, hands gentle as they probed her shoulder wound. No armor, no gloves. Yet the touch caused no pain. She glanced down to see a faint, cooling gel seeping from the alien's palm into her cuts. Medical nanites, perhaps healing agents beyond human manufacture. A soft glow emanated from Kel's hands, sealing the lacerations in moments. Elena exhaled, the tension in her chest easing for the first time since the crash. Kel's telepathic voice returned, calmer now. Your companions, they are gone. The storm's radiation took them too. Quickly, guilt flooded her. She began, throat tight. I'm sorry. Human etiquette felt meaningless here. The alien placed a comforting hand on her forearm. There's shelter not far. Come. It pointed toward a rocky outcrop where, beyond the dunes, a sliver of dark entrance beckoned. With Kel's support, Elena rose. Each step was a negotiation with pain and fear. But beneath it all stirred an ember of hope. Behind them, the Artemis smoldered under Vespera's angry sky, an epitaph to a mission gone awry. Ahead lay the unknown, a cavern carved into crimson stone, promising sanctuary and answers. From the broken hull to the alien's outstretched hand, Captain Elena Marlowe's world had irrevocably shifted. As they ventured into the desert night, the first chapter of their ordeal and their unlikely alliance truly began. Each dawn on Vespera felt like a rebirth of danger. The scarlet sun rose beyond swirling dunes of ochre dust, illuminating the cavern mouth where Elena and Kale took refuge. Stepping inside was like entering another world. Entirely stalactites dripped luminescent mineral water, forming shallow pools that glowed in eerie green. The air was cooler here, free of the abrasive sands and lethal radiation above, and a gentle hum resonated through the stone, as if the planet itself was alive, establishing a routine. Kale moved with quiet purpose, his bioluminescent skin dimmed to a soft twilight glow, as he guided Elena deeper into the cave's network. Together they mapped out a secure chamber where Elena set up her field medical kit, and Kale fashioned simple tools from fractured ship components. Each morning, Elena tested water samples from the glowing pools for contaminants while Kale tested the rock's mineral composition with an implant that gleamed like a second eye. By midday they labored side by side, Elena tinkering with solar panels salvaged from Artemis's wreckage, Kale weaving thermal blankets from flexible plating. Despite their primitive surroundings, they carved out comfort. Elena rigged a small, hydroponic grow tray using algae spores harvested from cave walls. Pale green tendrils sprouted within hours, promising a sustainable nutrient source. Kale, drawing on his species' knowledge of biochemistry, introduced trace minerals to accelerate growth. At night, they gathered around the sprouting greens, sharing a makeshift meal of rehydrated protein paste sweetened with algae berries. In that candlelit grotto, each bite felt miraculous. Shared stories, shared vulnerability and hunger and thirst were kept at bay. Curiosity bloomed. Elena spoke of Earth's history, of ancient oceans and towering forests, of starlit skies unmarred by constant dust storms. She painted vivid word pictures, children laughing on sandy beaches, glass skyscrapers catching the sunrise. Kale responded with visions beamed directly into her mind, crystalline spires under violet skies, rivers of living light flowing through his homeworld's capital, the harmonious chorus of thousands of voices in a daytime celebration. Elena tasted each memory, feeling both the thrill of wonder and pangs of longing. In these exchanges, they discovered their own solitude mirrored in the other. Elena confessed the loneliness of command, how orders and protocol often stood between her and genuine connection. Kale revealed the weight of duty among his people, how curiosity was balanced against the sanctity of interspecies protocols. Each admission was a small token of trust, weaving an unspoken bond stronger than any lifeline. Testing limits, finding strength. Their harmony was not without trials. Vespera's nights plunged to sub-zero temperatures, and early on Elena nearly succumbed to hypothermia when a makeshift heater failed. Kel's adaptive physiology allowed him to survive the chill, but he refused to leave her side. Drawing on his internal heat reserves, he pressed close to her back until warmth returned to her limbs. In another trial, an acid rain burst through a crack in their cavern roof, hissing as it dissolved portions of their thermal blankets. Racing against time and toxic fumes, they fought to patch leaks, Elena's lungs burning as Kale guided her through respirator adjustments. With gentle telepathic commands, each crisis tested not just their survival skills, but their trust in one another. Elena learned to read Kel's subtle skin pulses, each color shift an unspoken instruction or warning. Kale, in turn, observed Elena's unbreakable focus in crises, her willingness to sacrifice comfort for results. Through shared triumphs and near failures, they honed a silent communication that bridged human speech and alien thought. The first spark of intimacy evening. After they'd secured their cavern against another dust storm, Elena found herself drawn to the iridescent pools. The water's surface reflected Kel's soft glow. Fracturing his form into kaleidoscopic shards, he joined her, and together they watched droplets ripple across the liquid mirrors. Elena reached out, fingertips brushing Kel's translucent wrist. She felt warmth, their bioluminescent energy coursing beneath his skin like living light. Their eyes met in shared awe. Words were no longer enough. Kale stepped closer, and with a whisper of intention in her mind, gentle, respectful, he guided her to sit beside him. The cave fell silent except for the pulse of his glowing veins and the distant drip of mineral water. In that hush, Elena laid her head against Kel's shoulder, feeling the rhythmic rise and fall of breaths, human and alien in quiet harmony. Under Vespera's twin moons, two pale slivers of light framed by the cave's yawning mouth, they allowed themselves a moment of closeness neither had known before. Kel's light pulsed in time with Elena's heartbeat, a tender symphony that rose and fell like an otherworldly lullaby. In that embrace, the fierce boundaries of species and survival blurred into something transcendent, the first spark of love in a world carved by isolation. By the end of their second week on Vespera, Elena and Kale had built more than just a shelter and routine. They had forged a partnership of equals, grounded in mutual respect, shared vulnerability, and the courage to connect across the void between stars. And as they drifted into sleep in their cave, Elena wrapped in Kel's gentle warmth, the planet outside raged on, unconcerned but somehow companioned by two souls who dared to find hope amid the red sands. The cave's bioluminescent glow felt warmer now, suffused with Elena's newfound life. She paced its smooth stone floor, pressing a hand to her abdomen, where a faint, rhythmic pulse echoed her own heartbeat. At first she chalked it up to dehydration, or the residue of shock, but as hours passed, the gentle thrum persisted, growing steadier. When Kale found her cradling her belly by the algae grow tray, his skin flared soft emerald in concern. "Your body changes fast," he conveyed, voice resonant in her mind. Elena drew him close and guided his hand to the subtle swell beneath her suit. Under his palm she felt a miraculous warmth, as if the hearts beat in unison. Fear pooled in her chest. "I think we did more than survive," she whispered. "I'm pregnant." Revelations in the rock. Hale spent the next cycle in fevered research. By the phosphorescent light of the cave pools, he accessed mental archives of Elisharan genetic lore millennia old, records encoded in the collective consciousness of his people. He transmitted images of hybridization protocols, cellular morphogenesis, and sacred birthing rites. The process, he explained, was nearly impossible. Their species had only once before initiated cross-species synthesis, and the candidate had not survived gestation. Elena absorbed every detail, alternating between awe and dread. She assembled makeshift lab equipment from Artemis's medbay remnants, microscopes, jury-rigged from optical lenses, a centrifuge cobbled from rotor parts. Under Kel's guidance, she monitored her vital signs, hormone levels spiking, fetal heartbeat detectable as a faint echo on her portable scanner. The little life within thrummed with promise and acute vulnerability. Night after night, Elena lay on thermal mats while Kel's healing nanits coursed through her bloodstream. reinforcing her immune system against Vespera's alien pathogens. When nausea gripped her, he produced nutrient gels infused with Elisharan enzymes, alleviating her queasiness and providing essential minerals. Each act of care wore upon them closer, the human pilot and the alien healer, bound by a shared mission to nurture their child, building a sanctuary as the embryo blossomed. Their focus shifted from survival to sanctuary. Kale led Elena to a sealed chamber deeper in the cave, its walls inscribed with phyllosilicate veins that radiated gentle warmth. Here, he erected a womb chamber, a cocoon of woven thermal fibers, biocompatible gels, and pressure stabilizers. Scavenged from the ship's cryotanks, Elena contributed her own engineering acumen, sealing seams, calibrating life support adapters, and programming environmental controls to mimic Elisharan gestational chambers. Outside the womb chamber, they constructed a nursery grove. Elena planted fast-growing hydroponic ferns for oxygen enrichment. Kale sculpted mineral matrices that pulsed with ambient bioluminescence, soothing and oxygenating the cave air. A soft, rhythmic drone, a heartbeat simulator, echoed through the space, acclimating the child to both parents' life rhythms. Each day brought new challenges. Electrical storms above the cave disrupted power regulators. Seismic tremors rattled the foundations of their sanctuary. Twice, Elena awoke to the cave floor trembling violently, dust cascading from the ceiling. Starship alarms would have blinded her here. She had only Kel's steady hand and the cave's natural stability to rely on. In each crisis, they worked as one, Kale reinforcing energy conduits with living crystal resin, Elena patching ruptured hydroponic lines before water starvation. The weight of expectation. By the second trimester, Elena's form had softened. Her uniform was altered to accommodate her growing shape. She moved slower, every breath measured to conserve energy. Yet beneath her gentle exterior burned a fierce determination. She would protect this child with her life, regardless of the cosmic implications. Sometimes, in the silence between storms, she pressed her ear to Kel's chest and felt the hum of his bioluminescent heart, a sound both alien and achingly familiar. Kale, for his part, displayed a solemn intensity Elena had never seen before. He communed with the planet's living core, gleaning data on seismic stability and atmospheric toxicity. He wove protective wards of crystal growth along the cave walls, ancient Elisharan symbio, structures that absorbed radiation and neutralized acidic runoff. Though his face never wore fear, Elena sensed the weight of ancestral expectations upon him, a duty to ensure the survival of a child who could redefine interstellar relations. Contraction of hope. As the final trimester began, the cave's stone corridors hummed with life, algae groves teemed, oxygen levels peaked, and the nursery's heart drone synchronized perfectly with both parents' pulses. Elena felt stronger, bolstered by Kel's unflagging support and the nanite-enhanced vitality coursing through her veins. But the planet was preparing one last trial. A deep rumble shook the cave one dawn, the precursor to the largest seismic wave Vespera had shown. Since their arrival, crystal wards flashed in warning, hydroponic lines snapped, the womb chambers, environmental regulators oscillated out of tolerance. Elena cried out as pressure seals trembled, and Kel's glow intensified to a blinding white as he projected stabilizing energy. Through his bioluminescence, they secured the chamber's hatch and braced themselves. The quake rolled through in waves, each one threatening to collapse their hard-won safe haven. Elena gritted her teeth against the pain in her back as another shock sent her sprawling. Kale intercepted her fall, his arm steadying her with more strength than seemed possible for his slender form. When the tremors finally subsided, the cave lay hushed, dust settling like snowfall. Elena rose unsteadily, scanning for damage. The womb chamber stood intact to her relief, its internal systems still humming in perfect cadence. Kale placed a gentle hand on her belly. They felt the child respond, a tiny kick reverberating through the gel-lined cocoon like the whisper of the planet itself, a promise of tomorrow. That night, as twin moons cast lavender shadows across the cave floor, Elena and Kale sat before the womb chamber. She traced its curved surface, her fingertips leaving faint imprints. He rested his glowing forehead against her arm, their breaths mingling in the cool air. This world nearly took everything from us, Elena thought, tears glimmering in her eyes. But in you and our child, I see new beginnings. Kel's luminescence pulsed in agreement, a silent promise that no matter what storms lay ahead, they would face them united, heart to biolite, life within them an unbreakable bond. And so, on the cusp of birth, two disparate souls prepared to welcome a child who would carry both human hope and alien wonder into a universe waiting to be changed. The birth had come and gone, leaving Elena and Kale worn but elated. Their child, named Ornis, light of the two worlds, lay cradled in a biogel cocoon that regulated temperature, nutrients, and light, pulsing gently with the hybrid heartbeat. For days, Elena watched over Ornis, humming lullabies from Earth while Kale whispered ancestral songs into her mind. In their unity, the cave had transformed from a lonely refuge into a home, signals through the red sky high above the dunes. Kale had finally repaired the ship's long-range beacon array. He and Elena carried their precious cargo up to the shattered hull of the Artemis, Ornis secure in the cocoon's suspension cradle. As Kale rerouted power through salvaged capacitors, Elena monitored the sky with her makeshift spectrometer, searching for the telltale flare of a rescue ship's jump signature. When the beacon's pulse finally shot a red and blue strobe into Vespera's storm-ravaged atmosphere, Elena felt her heart tighten in hope and fear. Hope that they would be saved, fear that rescue might demand sacrifices she could not bear to make. Kale read her thoughts and placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, his skin glowing a soft, steady green that spoke of reassurance. They left the cave at dawn, the glow of phosphorescent ferns fading behind them as they trudged across the ruby sands. Each step was heavy with anticipation. Dust devils danced like spectral guardians round the ruined ship, and distant thunder heralded another incoming storm. But for the first time in weeks, the desert's emptiness felt charged with possibility. First contact again hours later, a ripple in the sky shook the horizon. At first it was nothing more than a shimmering haze, but within moments a slender scout vessel materialized, its hull gleaming silver against the swirling ochre wind. The craft leveled and settled in the crater near the Artemis, kicking up a whirlwind of red dust. A ramp extended, and two figures emerged, uniformed medics from the Interstellar Survey Alliance, Helix Division. They carried portable scanners and emergency packs. One of them, Lieutenant Morgan Reyes, paused as her eyes fell on the alien beside Elena. Reyes' hand hovered near her sidearm, confusion warring with protocol. Elena stepped forward, raising a hand in greeting. Despite the bloodstains on her uniform and the exhaustion lining her face, her voice was steady. "I'm Captain Marlowe. This is Kale of Elishara. We come in peace." Kel's bioluminescent skin rippled in shimmering patterns that translated to calm assurance. In his telepathic projection, when the medic scanners registered Ornis's unique physiology, oxygen levels half human, half alien, biosignatures, unlike anything cataloged, they exchanged astonished glances. Elena opened the cocoon, lifting her daughter into her arms. Ornis's eyes, one a deep human brown, and the other a swirling violet streaked with luminescent blue, fixed on the newcomers with curious intelligence. Decisions at the threshold, the medics offered ration packs and a transport cradle, but as they approached to take Ornis, Elena recoiled, motherly protection warring with duty to the Alliance. "I can't let you separate us," she said, voice firm. "She's mine and Kel's." Lieutenant Reyes hesitated, consulting her datapad. Alliance regulations required that alien contact cases be quarantined, and any hybrid offspring placed under Alliance jurisdiction until psychological evaluation and genetic screening could confirm viability. Kel's skin shifted to a vivid teal as he sensed Elena's distress. In a soft mental whisper, he told her not to yield, not when their child had survived impossible odds. Elena squared her shoulders. "She's more than a test subject. She's our daughter." Reyes looked between the two parents and the child, then made a decision that surprised even herself. "Captain, Lieutenant, this child is unprecedented. I'm ordering an immediate status report to command, but until further notice, I'm deferring to parental custody. We'll bring all three of you aboard for medical evaluation, but no one leaves without Ornis." She tapped her wrist. "Calm. Prepare the transport." We depart in 15 minutes. Passage through the stormback aboard the scout ship. The hull shuddered as Vespera unleashed its fury acid rain streaking the viewports, lightning arsing in brilliant white against the red sky. Elena and Cale held each other close, Orinus, in Elena's arms, as the ship's engineer rerouted power to shields. Elena placed a gentle kiss on her daughter's forehead. Cale's glow dimmed to a soft lavender of relief as they ascended through the planet's atmosphere. Elena peered down at the dunes that had been their crucible. "We survived," she whispered. Voice thick, Cale's thoughts flowed into hers. "And we will survive what comes next." Beyond the clouds lay medical bays, Alliance bureaucracy, and untold scrutiny, but also the promise of new worlds. A family United Scout vessel punched through the jump lattice and emerged in orbit. Around Alliance Station Auriga, from the viewport, the sprawling habitat ring glowed like a beacon of civilization against the void. Elena and Cale exchanged a look of awe and apprehension. Their journey was far from over. But as they disembarked, Orinus cradled between them. They stepped forward together, human courage and alien wisdom fused in one family. In the gleaming corridors of Auriga, whispers followed their passage, scientists eager to study the first human-alien, hybrid, diplomats calculating political ramifications, journalists primed for the story of the millennium. But Elena and Cale would face it side by side, as parents defending their child's right to belong to both worlds. As the shuttle docked and the airlock cycled open, Elena tightened her grip on Cale's hand. Their daughter cooed softly, the faint glow of her mixed heritage pulsing gently against Elena's chest. Together, they walked into the next chapter, a family born on a desert world, bound for new horizons, determined to prove that love could bridge even the greatest cosmic divides.